everybody can feel joy when they are winning or when they achieve something which is important to them. But to feel joy for others, there are two very, very important qualities. One is abhyasa, which means practice. The other one is Vairagya. For yogi, where the mind flows like the flow of an oil. When I was meditating in a cave at about 13,500 feet, one day a snow leopard came in. In the last session, we were talking about Yoga Darshana. And we also looked at how it's a dyad between Sankhya and Yoga, and how it is not a jijnasa. You cannot pick up a book and start reading about yoga, but yoga is a anushasana. It's a discipline. Then we also looked at there are many meanings of yoga. The root word yujyate, yujya could mean samadhau, samadhi, or it could mean yujyar, which is joining, or it could also mean samanya. Then we looked at Patanjali as the propounder, as a darshanika of what we now call as Ashtanga Yoga. Ashta Anga, 8 Angas. And we also looked at what is not yoga. Sanyoga, Viyoga, all these circus that happens in the name of yoga is not yoga. Okay. We also looked at how Sankhya spoke about the descent of consciousness into matter, and yoga is ascent of consciousness, of matter back into consciousness. Also, Sankhya says if you understand the darshana, then Purusha will be liberated from the tapatraya. Of course, Patanjali doesn't agree. He says, okay, we accept the darshana of Sankhya, of Kapila Muni, but there are things that you must do for you to escape, or to get liberated, or to find moksha. So the second sutra of Patanjali is very important. He says, Yogascha Chitta Vritti Nirodha. The first one he said that Anushasanam. What is the discipline? It's a discipline. Yoga is a discipline. In a second, he's saying Chitta Vritti Nirodha. This is yoga. So we must understand what is Chitta, what is Vritti, and what is Nirodha. Nirodha is the easiest of them all. Nirodha means stopping. And what is Chitta? In Sankhya, we looked at how Purusha and Prakriti come together to form Mahat or Buddhi, and then Ahankara and Manas. The combination of these three is called Chitta in Yoga. Patanjali Rishi says that the combination of Mahat Buddhi, Ahankara and Manas is Chitta. So, these Chittas undergo modifications because they get caught up in the Triguna, in the Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. And these Vrittis, modifications keep changing from one to another like that of a wind. If you are in a very windy place, you will notice that every moment the wind changes. And things get blown away. If you look at a small leaf, it has no control. It just keeps swaying from here to there. So he says, your chitta becomes like that helpless leaf blowing about in the wind. Okay. Then he introduces a concept. Like I said in the earlier session, that it has 4 padas. The first one is called Samadhi Pada, where he starts introducing extra concepts that were not found in Sankhya. He says he uses the basic elements, the 24, 25 elements of Sankhya, and then he says there is a Bhumi of Chitta. Okay, like Ramya has a background which has a yantra. Yes, in that yantra, that is Kanakadara yantra, we have something called Bhumi. All yantras have a Bhumi on which we work. So here, that Bhumi comes from this Bhumi. Bhumi of Chitta, or state of mind. It's not a literal translation, but I am guessing that most of you can understand when I say state of mind. Okay? Because of the intermingling of Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, this Bhumi is created. There are 5 types of Bhumi or 5 types of mind. I think it's very important for Trinath to understand, according to Veda, there are 5 types of minds. Okay? The first is called Kshipta. Kshipta mind is a Rajasic mind. It is correlated to that of a monkey. It's a monkey mind. It keeps jumping from one thought to another thought. It's chaotic. It is very fickle. It is possessed by Manava. Manava, who is like a man. Because man is just a potential. There is no such thing as a human being according to Veda, Tantra and all these internal sciences. Because man can become God, but man can also drop down and become an animal. Okay, which we will see in further sessions. So, Kshipta mind. The second one is called Mudha. Mudha means a dull or lazy type of mind. It is called the buffalo or the donkey mind. It is full of tamas. Rakshasas possess it. Rakshasas are dark beings. They just want happiness at all costs. These are the ones who engage in bodily pleasure. Drinking, eating, sleeping with women. Just, fulfilling only the basic requirements of life. If you go and if you try to educate them, if you tell them, no, listen, like Gandhiji did, don't drink, they will kill you. Because for them, that immediate pleasure is more important than long-term benefits. So here, in Kshipta and Mudha kind of mind, Patanjali Rishi says, these two are yoga brashta. They cannot be taken into the yoga fold. In fact, for Mudhas, he says, they are like cockroaches. You take a cockroach out of a sewer, out of a dirty sewer, and it will start, panicking for life. If you put it back into the sewer, it will live. It will thrive. So these dull people, Mudha people with the mindset of Mudha are like cockroaches. They cannot survive under light. They are dark beings. This is all according to Patanjali Rishi, okay? And we will understand how these concepts have evolved in every darshana. Okay? Then the third type of mindset is called Vikshipta. This is a partially focused mind. It has a combination of Rajas and Sattva. The Devas, the Deva Gana, Indra the Deva, they are believed to possess this. It is likened to a butterfly mind. It is a very chanchal, it is a very active mind. It is not, it still has a lot of vrittis, it has a lot of modification, but it uses its modification for good. It says, okay, let me do some research, let me find out why people are suffering, why people have, headaches, or why people have, stomach problems. Let me cure. But it is always thinking, like a typical modern professor is depicted in movies, who's forgetful of everything else except his work. His work is important because he's doing something for the benefit of others. But he is absent-minded in all other things. That sort of a mind is called Vikshipta. This Vikshipta mind can be refined to yoga, can be introduced to yoga. Most of the people in this world belong to the first two categories. Kshipta mind or Mudha mind. Okay? There are some people who are born lucky, who are well educated, who are brought up in the right atmosphere, who have the Vikshipta mind. They have a discerning mind. Then with training or through divine grace, some people get Ekagra Chitta. Ekagra. Ekagra means one-pointed, single-pointedness. It is a pure, yes, it is a pure sattva mind. This is where a person has acquired the mind of a yogi. He has acquired the mind of a yogi, where the mind flows like the flow of an oil. Have you tried pouring oil? You will see that there is no break in it, unlike a water. A water flow is broken. But a Ekagra mind, Ekagra Chitta, one-pointed mind will flow like oil. Then the Niruddha, the last type of mind is the Niruddha mind, who is fully absorbed in the self. It is transcendental. A person who has reached the Niruddha mind reaches the state of Shiva or Adi Yogi, whatever you want to call it, where the person has transcended the idea of a self. He is connected to everything that his human senses allow him to. For example, there is only a certain distance your ears can hear. There is only a certain distance your eyes can see clearly. There is only certain space in which the vibration can be felt. For a certain distance, your nose can pick up smell, isn't it? So, in that surrounding, the yogi becomes one, because there is a higher state of mind also. Okay. I remember when I was meditating in a cave at about 13,500 feet, one day a snow leopard came in. And I had gone beyond the Ekagrata. The Niruddha stage had come. And there was oneness with that leopard. The leopard didn't mind me, I didn't mind the leopard. Came into the cave. It sat there. It groomed itself, and it went off. There was no thought, just a oneness of feeling that you and I are part of this existence. Or it is even wrong to say you and I. There was no thought. For all you know, I could have been a stone, or the leopard could have been just in my imagination. But it wasn't, I'm just saying. So, that kind of oneness happens. You start feeling all the elements, the Mahabhutas, the Tanmatras, your senses are dissolved into them, they are dissolved into your senses. There is no ahankara, there is no manas, there is only mahat. Just an awareness. So, people who are Vikshipta can be encouraged to have Ekagrata and can be encouraged to become Niruddha. Okay, these are the 5 Bhumis. So, people who are here, they must ask this question, they must find out on which Bhumi they are playing. Are you playing cricket on a cricket ground? Or are you trying to play football in a cricket match? Then it will not make any sense. So, for every Bhumi, for every state of mind, different techniques are prescribed. First, we must discover where we where we stand. Okay? So, how do we get out of this? The next question, obvious question is, how do we, because he's saying Chitta Vritti nirodha. Now we have understood what is Chitta and we have understood what are Vrittis. So, how do we stop this? He says, purify your Chitta. If you go back to pure Chitta and if you understand that it is Prakriti who is playing and who is dancing and you're just the watcher, the witness, the Sakshi, that's it. But saying is easy. How? How do we do this? He says there are two very, very important qualities that one must develop. One is Abhyasa, which means practice. The other one is Vairagya. Vairagya means dispassion, detachment. Most scholars say renunciation. That is wrong. Patanjali Rishi is not saying give up everything, go into a jungle, sit in a cave. You can do all that. But he is not asking you to run away from your responsibilities. He is saying be dispassionate about whatever you are engaged in. That means, does that mean that I should not have passion? No. What it means is don't be attached to the fruit. Don't be attached to the concept that I am doing everything. Padma Patra Mimamsa. How should a yogi be? A yogi should be like the water on a lotus leaf. It is neither attached nor detached. A very famous, Kannada scholar, Sanskrit scholar from Karnataka, Bannanje Govindacharya, who also taught me some Atharva Veda, says how this should be described, Vairagya should be described as attached detachment or detached attachment. I like both the words. Okay? So, okay, great. Now you said that modifications of mind is happening. How do we identify what are the types of mind? Because I told you, Patanjali Rishi is a precise mathematician kind of a yogi. Unlike Tantra or unlike Hatha yogis, everything he marks. He makes a table. Now he divides Vrittis also into 5, Pancha Vrittis. He says there are 5 types of modifications of mind. What is that? One, he says Pramana, which we already saw in Sankhya. Direct or sensory perception is the same as Sankhya. Pratyaksha, Anumana and Shabdha. Again, Anumana, we have discussed all this, so there is no point going into it detail, but he is saying one type of modification is what we are able to see or what we are able to hear. And in that, even Anumana is there, which is a guesstimation. Yatra yatra dumaha tatra tatra vannihi. We have spoken about all that. Okay? The second type of vritti, he says, Viparyaya. Viparyaya means wrong knowledge or opposite of cognition. And the classic example that is given here is Rajju Sarpa. Rajju Sarpa is you look at a rope but you think it's a snake and you get scared. Or you look at nacre and you think that it is silver. You get, because you are superimposing something on something else. This is Viparyaya, superimposition or opposite cognition. See, here we are looking at the vrittis of the mind. You must understand the difference between the Vedanta Darshanas, which talk about, Rajju Sarpa, like Advaitis, and Patanjali is, here Patanjali is talking about the mind. He's saying the mind is understanding wrong things. In the first one, it is understanding things the way they are. In the second one, Viparyaya, he is saying the mind is cognizing the opposite of what it should be. The third, he says, Vikalpa. Vikalpa is, you can say, illusion. Illusion which is prompted by some words. He is very specific about it. Somebody says, when I was telling you the story about the leopard and in the cave in the Himalayas, many of you might have imagined it. Now that is Vikalpa, but that is also Vritti. It happened in your mind. That's why he's so beautiful, he's so scientific. He says it happened in your mind. The question of whether it is true or false doesn't arise, but it is a Vritti in your mind. So this is called Vikalpa. Sometimes we also create abstract ideas like unicorn. Now when I say unicorn, all of you have created one image there. It doesn't even exist, but it got created because somebody prompted it. Okay? Then the fourth type of vritti, he says, is Nidra. Nidra is dream. Though it says you're supposed to translate it as sleep, you have to understand he means dream. The thoughts that happen in your sleep. The modifications of the mind that happen in your sleep. In that also he says there are three types. One is Sattvika, where you feel sukha, happiness. You feel fresh when you get up from sleep. When you wake up, you are fresh. So he says again, Karya Karanavada. He says, if you are feeling fresh in the morning, then that means you had a sattvic sleep or sattvic thoughts or sattvic dreams. The second one is Rajasika, which is very fast moving. There are interlacing of many ideas, many thoughts, many locations. So at one moment you might be working in your office. Second moment you might be transported to some other city. Third moment you might find yourself floating in space because you watched a space movie. Fourth moment you might be riding a giraffe. I don't know. I'm just giving you a very funny picture here. Now, it is very fantastic. Phantasmagorical dreams. But what is the end result? You feel tired. They're not nightmares, but you didn't have a good sleep. You're feeling restless when you wake up. The third one is Tamasika, and Patanjali Rishi says most of these Tamasika dreams cannot be remembered. But the whole day you are tired. You are not in a good mood. You are jittery. You just want the day to get over. These are also modifications of the vritti. And the fourth one he says, Smriti. Smriti means memory. Memory of the past. An experience that you remember. 99% of all your problems occur because of Smriti. I don't like my boss because every time I go there, he has bad things to say. He pulls my leg. He doesn't encourage me. He did it 3 or 4 times, but you're carrying the memory. You've already made up your mind. And again, Smriti, Patanjali Rishi says, is of 2 types. One is Klisthta and the second one is Aklista. Klisthta is that which give you pain. Memories which give you pain. Aklista is memories that give you, obviously if there is no pain, then happiness. But we don't tend to remember good things. Aklista memories we don't carry. So, one of the things that a yogi can do or should do is to even not remember anything, but even if he does remember, he should remember Aklista memories. When you remember Tamasika's dreams, they can be categorized as nightmare. They are called Duswapna. There is no word called nightmare, but they are called Duswapna or Durswapna. Okay? Now, these 5 vrittis create something called Klesha, which means they create some sort of a unwanted wastage of the mind. See, everything in nature, you will see, everything in the nature has its opposite. If there is light, there is darkness. If there is intake, there is some wastage. If you eat, you have to excrete. Everything in the world is like that. If there is a male, there is a female. Isn't it? If there is good, there is bad. Because you cannot define good without bad. If there was only good, imagine if there was only good, if there was only light, it won't make any sense. In fact, every word that you speak, anyone speaks in this world, has already in it embedded the opposite word. When I say word, silence is embedded in it. It is the opposite of silence. Okay, white is when all light is reflected. Black is when all light is absorbed. At least this is what science tells us. Can they be called opposites? But they deal with one element called light. Neither white nor black can exist without light. So they are different opposite aspects of one element. Now if we take what we call as a cycle of day and night, 24 hours, which is our calculation for time for one day. Okay, in that, if you just had, like, in northern Arctic Circle and Antarctic, there's 6 months of day and 6 months of light. Now, if you did not have night at all, could you express day? That's what I'm saying. My point is, every word has the opposite, whether it is a lack or whatever you want to call it, already embedded in it. When you call a person, let us say, when you call a person, wow, beautiful, what you did is wonderful, you are saying the rest of the times, he or she is not as wonderful. The opposite is already embedded in it, isn't it? Yes. Now I'll give you one final example. When you say, I celebrate my birthday, or maybe you'll celebrate your son or daughter's birthday, you are making that one day very special in your life. Which also means the rest of the 364 days, you are making it less special. Isn't it? So when you say it is my birthday, and you are giving it a special attachment, the rest of the days, or when you say Saturday is my favorite day of the week, because you get to go home, or maybe it's a long weekend, then you're saying the rest of the day, you're not maybe cognizing it consciously. Because most people are not yogis, they are not aware. When they say Saturday is my favorite day or Sunday is my favorite day, they are saying the rest of the days are not important, are not as special. Now you understand. So any word that you speak, any word that you write, any word that you hear already has the opposite embedded in it. Otherwise you cannot speak at all. When you express something, the opposite also is expressed in it. Okay. So that is why we go into transcendental states. That is what yoga teaches us about. The transcendence of duality. Okay. So, just as the vrittis of the mind get created, there are some Mallah. Mallah means wastage or things that we don't want. They are called Klesha. Kleshas mean poison or affliction. They are also caused. Because of this, because you have Vritti, there is something opposite of Vritti also. What is that? The first one is called Ahankara. Egoism. This is not the same Ahankara as Sankhya. Now, because the Rajas and Tamas are, playing within you, you will get the ego. That I am. Vrittis are like food. Then what is the Mallah? What is the excretion? This is all in the vrittis, remember. This is all in the mind. Very important for you. Because somebody who is working with mind, you must understand this. So because of this, because of the above mentioned vrittis, Pramana, Viparyaya, Vikalpa, Nidra and Smriti, see, the approach is different. The tattvas are same. Patanjali is saying, Asmita or Ahankara is created. If there is no waves of thought, then there is no waste of thought also. Isn't it? They're saying Ahankara. Here what will happen is, when I comes, I will start feeling asuya. I start feeling less of others. I feel better than most people. That is the quality of Ahankara. Not only am I different from others, but I am also better than others. Is there anybody you know who thinks that he is not better than the rest or she is not better than the rest of them? No matter how bad they are, they will still feel, no, I am better. They will find some fault in the other person and say, I am better. He might be better than me in studies, but he doesn't know how to express it. See, he might be very good looking, but he cannot speak to girls. I can do that. For everything, a person will find a fault in the others and feel great. This is the Ahankara. Okay. The second Klesha is Raga. Raga means attachment. I will suddenly say, oh, Trinath, what a beautiful background you have created. You feel good about it. Immediately I'll say, but you know what? It is making you dark. Suddenly you disappear because it is, the technology is not evolved. Suddenly you will feel, ayyo, he criticized me. So Raga is attachment. Somebody this is all in the mind. Somebody flatters you, suddenly something grows inside. Somebody criticizes you, suddenly something will shrink inside. Okay. What is shrinking and what is expanding? We will talk about that. Okay. Because people have attachment, the byproduct of it is irsha, jealousy. Isn't it? So when you are attached to something, you say, oh, what is that he has that I don't have? Why do people like her? She's not even beautiful. All this gossip that women do, that is because of raga. Okay? And it creates jealousy, dvesha. It's the next, third klesha is dvesha. Dvesha means, they translate it as enmity, but it's more like repulsion or aversion. And it creates what we call as grina. Grina is, a type of aversion only. You know the story of the crabs? Everybody knows the story of the crabs. There was a crab testing competition. All the countries were displaying their crabs. Okay? And they had put all the crabs in a glass jar and covered it with another glass jar and made holes so they can breathe. Okay, so the judges came, Chinese crabs, there's all US crabs, all that. They came to Indian pavilion. In the Indian pavilion, they had put them in an open, big vessel, and it was open. They said, wow, they are so well trained. I mean, have you managed, they were wondering, has India managed to domesticate crabs? They say, how? What is this magic? Says, no, sir, no. Every time a crab tries to climb up, another crab will pull its leg. Okay. This is because of dvesha, of grina. See, all these humor actually reflects the societal value. In India, it is very difficult to come up because everybody is pulling your leg. Because there are so many of us. Dvesha. Okay? Repulsive. The fourth one is called abhinivesha. Abhinivesha is the fear of death or the phobia of death. Call it fear is, and extreme desire to live. Both together. One, it has phobia. At the same time, it has desire to live. So these kind of people, the byproduct is called, they are called Hades, Hedaha, which means they will go to any extent to save their skin. That could mean putting another person into jeopardy, putting another person's, they will escape because they want to live, but somebody else might get caught and they might even be killed. So the question arises, what do we do with this Klesha? They are cowards, then they are not just cowards, because in Patanjali's context, what he is saying is, these things might not be visible to others. See, you must understand, all this is happening inside the mind. He might be very cunning. Nobody might even understand that Abhinivesha is happening inside a person. He might be integrated. So here is where, sorry, there's one more. The first one actually. It is called avidya. There are 5. Avidya, ahankara, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. Okay, avidya, ignorance. Let me tell you the story of Mankutimma. Mankutimma is a Natha, yogi. I keep telling his stories. So Mankutimma meditated, became a big guru. He gathered a lot of followers. And one day he realized that he's going to die in the next 2 days. Then he called his favorite Shishya and said, come here. He says, listen, I want to get rid of this cycle of birth and life and reincarnation. I want moksha. I will be born in the south direction, 120 kilometers from here, in a village called Pandigrama. I will be born as a piglet. I'll be born as a piglet and I'll have black spots on my skin. You have to come there exactly 90 days from today, take a big stone, crush on my head, and I will have moksha. Okay. And the Shishya says, yes, okay, Guruji. Promptly, Mankutimma dies on the day he has forecasted. And 90 days later, the favorite Shishya has reached this village, Pandigrama. And then he goes around searching for all the piglets, and he sees one piglet with all the markings that the Guru has said. He says, Guruji! He says, oh, Bandi Diya, have you come? Yes, I have come, Guruji. Takes a stone to throw on his head. Hey, wait. He is rolling in the ditch water, in the muck. He says, wait. Let me live this one life. Don't end it. This is avidya. To get stuck in everything that you see around us and not to realize that all this is the game of Prakriti. When Purusha starts intermingling with Prakriti and starts believing that it is him who is involved, who is part of it, this is called avidya. All the others, asmita or ahankara, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, all that comes because of avidya only. So here, all the religions of the world, at least of India, have made all their dogma or have made all their rituals to get rid of this avidya. Once Buddha used to go to this, I shouldn't be using the word, but a prostitute called Sujata. For Chaturmasa, every day he used to go there. So his Shishya said, Buddha, great Guru you are, and you are going into a dancing girl, into a prostitute's house. He says, where else should you preach Dharma? Only to those places which are dark should you light a lamp. What is the point of holding a lamp in broad daylight? So, the darkest people who are suffering from avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, these are the people who need the light of yoga, who need the light of knowledge. So, everything that is designed is for the pamara, is designed for the person who is going into darkness. I think we have kind of forgotten that with all the schooling that we have acquired, where only the top minds, they are identified, they are considered to be brilliant. We have forgotten about the backbenchers. So, okay, now we know what are the Vrittis, we know what are the Kleshas. Patanjali is saying before they can come into Abhyasa, they have to practice 4 virtues for mental peace. Because you have all these Kleshas, it's called Chitta Prasadanam. Chitta Prasadanam. Where you create a favorable disposition of mind by creating these 4 virtues. These 4 virtues are highly coveted by the Buddhists. So, the 4 virtues are Maitri, which is friendship, Karuna, which is compassion, Mudita, which is pure joy, and Upekshanam, indifference or equanimity. So, what is Maitri, friendship, do? In friendship, you will understand that there is a sharing. The sharing of happiness and sorrow. So you start understanding that we are all alike. There's nothing great about me. Karuna. In compassion, you will realize what has happened to me. Only a person who has suffered can get real compassion. The Sufis say, टूटा हुआ दिल खुदा का दरवाजा. God or divinity enters through the cracks in your broken heart. Your heart is full, divinity cannot come. So, only those people who have suffered can have real compassion. What has happened to me should not happen to anybody else. Nangagid bere yargo agat badapa. That is compassion. When you tell people, no, listen, don't go there, there's a ditch, you'll fall. Because I fell yesterday. You don't fall in it. That is compassion. Mudita, pure joy. Everybody can feel joy when they are winning or when they achieve something which is important to them. But to feel joy for others, to celebrate someone else's victory, that is mudita. To feel happiness, pure happiness, for no reason. Like a child. Have you seen a child running? Let me tell you this small story. I think one of these Telugu films used this story. There was a running race in a special school. Running race is played or people run to win, isn't it? That is why races are held. So this was a special school, mostly spastic children. Okay? And there were 5 or 6 of them, and they all started running. One child fell halfway through. What did the other spastic, those children who we call special, who we call disabled, they all ran back, picked this kid who had fallen off. They all ran holding hands together and crossed the line in one unison. This is mudita, this is pure joy. Nobody is winning, there is no competition. Upekshanam means, okay, now Maitri, okay, listen, I will become friends only with my caste, or I will be friends only with boys or only with girls. I will be friends only of a certain class, only rich people, educated people. I will show compassion only to animals. I will show pure joy only to those people who are special. Normal people, I will not show joy. Is that the way you should be? No. You should be equanimous. You should be everybody you treat equally. You know, some of the mental health hospitals, they will see your background. Most of them are like that. And they will charge according to your status. That is, here Patanjali Rishi is saying, don't be like that. Have standard rates. Ambani comes, 100 rupees. Middle class person comes, 100 rupees. I'm just giving you an example. Be equanimous. Have a standardization. So, you look at the whole world without any bias. Now, if you have these 4 virtues, then you can enter the door of yoga. You know, like Jesus used to say, he was so equanimous, he said, spread my message to the entire world. In one hand, carry education, and in another, medicine. That is how Christianity became. He said, be indifferent, be equal to everybody. Spread my message. Tell them how compassionate I am. I will take all their sins, dukkha. In one hand, take education. In one hand, take medicine. Okay. Now that he has explained these, shall we quickly see what it was? One was Chitta Prasadanam, one was Klesha, one was Vritti, one was Bhumi. These are new concepts that we have introduced, isn't it? Bhumi, state of mind, then Vrittis, 5 Vrittis, 5 Kleshas, right? And what are the virtues that you must develop? With this, Patanjali finishes the first pada.